a healthy type 2 diet. So I'm excited about this webinar.
Ooh,
And when you guys hop on, say hello. Let us know that you're here. You can comment in the chat and let us know that you're here. Just want to make sure this is live here first.
Dr. Saunders, are you in a new location?
I'm still in my office. I was just looking at the lighting and I was looking at Leslie and her lighting was so
Yeah.
good. And I'm like, how's your lighting? And she goes, I don't know. I just got a window. And I had this really harsh light. She said, turn off your lights, see how it looks. So I turned off the lights and it's like, oh yeah, it's actually better.
It is.
Yeah, it does look good. All right, we have Randy, I just saw from Ohio. Oh, Dan from Ohio, popular place. Roy, Colorado. Ricardo is here from Virginia. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're excited that you guys are here today. We're going to go ahead and get started. Feel free, if you're watching on YouTube, to comment with any questions that you have there. If you're watching us on Zoom live, if you can use the Q&A to ask your questions, that'll be really helpful. But we're going to dig into this. Hello. We have, oops, it scrolled up. Zan, I think, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Miss it. Okay.
Dan
Judy,
Brooks.
Claire,
Yep.
Catherine. Hello, everyone. All right. Someone from Minneapolis. Hello, Elaine. All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Healthy type 2 diet. What does that mean? Oh, boy. Talk about diets lately. It's hard to know what to eat anymore, right? So, what could we do, Dr. Saunders, if we are looking to first of all, maybe this is a better question. Can type 2 diabetes be reversed through diet? What are your thoughts?
Oh, do you want
Um,
me to give
com-
a
what?
disclaimer first?
We can do that.
All
So
right.
Dr. Saunders is a great doctor, but he is not your doctor. So we just ask that you discuss any of these things that we talk about today with your healthcare provider, okay? Take it away, Dr. Saunders.
Okay, so a healthy diet is really not hard. It's only hard because of the conflict that's always there between what I want and what I feel like I should eat. So I listened to my mom for many years say, "Well, I know I shouldn't eat this, but it's really good." And so things that if we're eating for taste then we're looking for things to taste good. And sometimes the things that taste the best are not the things that are things that we should not eat. And so one of the ways that we get into a diabetes or type 2 kind of issue is through diet. And it's not just a single thing, it's a multitude of things that contribute to this problem. So, for example, some people have such efficient metabolism, their hormones make them super efficient so that every time they eat, they release a lot of insulin, extra insulin. And that extra insulin tells their body, hold on to fat, store all of this food as fat. Don't burn it for energy. Don't use fat for energy, store it all. And just use a little bit of sugar, glucose. And so those kind of people, they're like super efficient. So when they eat, they store a bunch of fat, and then there'll be periods of time when they have no food around, when there's famine, when there's no rain, or whenever there's just not enough food around. Everything is out of season and whatever. So then what happens? Well, they've got a lot of extra fat to burn, so they can weather the storm. They can go through the famine time and survive. So in cultures where human beings have lived for thousands of years and have periodic famines, their metabolism gets super efficient, and so they eat small amounts and they can live on tiny amounts of food. I was one of my patients today. She was saying, well, so she has type 2, and for the first time, her kidneys are not functioning and are dysfunctional, or she passed the line of normal kidney function, has an estimated glomerular filtration rate over 60. So she was in the 70s and then in the 60s, and she just passed into the range where she's under 61. So um, I said, look, your kidneys are not functioning. This is something that needs to be fixed. This is not something that you can wait on, because you're going to end up with dialysis or something. This is not a good thing. And she said, well, what if I just walked that day? And that's why. I'm like, well, that may have something to do with it. Nevertheless, we've been following this and we've been seeing declining kidney function over the last several years. So she said, what do I need to do? I said, okay, so you need to improve insulin sensitivity. And we do that with phase 1 of the program. And she goes, no, can't do that. I can't do a keto diet. That's not going to work for me. I said, okay, so what about fasting? And she goes, well, I can do that. And then so we talked about that for a little while. And then she said, isn't there anything else I could do besides diet? Isn't there a different way, a better way? And I'm like, well, yeah, if you were to burn, between 3,000 and 5,000 calories a day, then you could do that. And she said, what does it take to burn 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day? I said, oh, you have to be like Michael Phelps and be swimming all day long as fast as you can, and then swim a little faster. And she goes, well, I hate having my face under the water, so that's not going to work. So we went through a bunch of things, and I said, well, you get a rowing machine. And when I was in my CrossFit coach one time told me, just go in the rowing machine and burn 100 calories. And I'm like, 100 calories, that's nothing. That's like one apple, right? So I go on the rowing machine and I start rowing and rowing. And I'm like, okay, I should be done by now. 20 calories. I'm like, what? 20 calories? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I was just shocked at how much exercise was 100 calories. And how fast can you put on 100 calories? Well, one apple, that's all you get. And you got your 100 calories back. And so, the body is really efficient. You don't need that much food. You really don't need that much food. So this idea that everybody has to eat 3 meals a day is kind of ridiculous. And it's a cause of a lot of suffering in the world. So, it really doesn't take much food. And so eating less and then exercising more are the highlights. So what is a good diet if you have type 2? Well, avoiding carbohydrates. So anything sweet could be avoided. Now, remember, we talked about the bear last time, and when the bear eats meat, it does not get insulin resistance, doesn't gain weight, doesn't get fat. And then the berries become ripe, and the bear will eat, 100,000 berries a day and get fat, and then get really lethargic and have to go into a cave and sleep for 6 months. So if you did that, that would work. If you got yourself fat by eating a whole bunch of fruit, and then go into a cave and sleep for 6 months, and fasting for 6 months would burn up all the calories, and then you could start all over again. But it's not very convenient to be like a bear either. So there's other ways to do that. Number one, avoid sugar. And you know what? That even means fruit if you have type 2. And so if you're looking at phase 1 of the program, and I recommend everybody get the book and look at phase 1 of the program, because it limits your carbohydrates to 20 grams a day. And for most people, that's going to work well, and they're going to be able to do that. And then avoiding anything that's processed. Don't have any processed foods. Avoid restaurants. Restaurants have to put 4 things in their food or people won't come back. They have to put sugar, salt, fat, and MSG. And that mixture of sugar and fat really tastes good. So all the gravies and all the sauces, and they're just sugar and fat. And they're really good tasting. But what's the problem? Well, that causes insulin resistance. So even when you go to a restaurant and you get meat, what do they put on it? They put on gravy or barbecue sauce or something that's got a lot of sugar and a lot of fat in it. But sometimes if you go to a really expensive steakhouse, they put butter on it. They fry it in butter, and then they put seasoning on. What does the seasoning have? Sugar. So if you're not cooking your own food, then you can guarantee that it has sugar, salt, fat, and MSG. And those are the things you should avoid if you have type 2. So what do? You eat vegetables. You know what? Get a lot of vegetables. A cup of broccoli, chopped broccoli, a cup contains about 6 grams of carbohydrates, and 2.5 of those grams are fiber. So, it's only 4 grams. You're allowed 20 grams a day. You can have 5 cups of broccoli. For carbohydrates. Cauliflower is similar. Spinach and celery, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, they're all really similar in having like 4 grams of carbohydrates in a cup. And so you can eat plenty of vegetables and not go over your limit of 20. And then you can add in other things like meat and cheese and eggs and fish and all of those things. So a healthy diet is avoiding anything that's processed. Just generally avoid processed food, avoid eating at restaurants, cook your own food, and keep it under 20 grams.
Yeah, I love that. This is really good. I want to mention here too, R had said, Dr. Saunders has mentioned going back to phase one periodically. So, what we're finding is people will follow the program. They do really, really well. They move to phase two, maybe get into some trouble, eating too much birthday cake on the weekends or, whatever it is. And then they're like, uh-oh, I got to go back to phase one. My blood couldn't get my blood sugars back down, whatever the story may be. Um, and then they are like, I better go back to phase one and get this under control. So that happens. R said you also mentioned sometimes doing a 3-day dry fast periodically. How frequently should we be doing these things?
Okay, as needed. I do it once a month. So, you know what? I did phase one of the program. I did it for 90 days. It was great. Um, I, I, I found that carbohydrates are really a good part of my diet, and I need them. I need enough fiber so that I don't get constipation and other problems. So so what I end up doing is I have a lot of fruit in my diet, so I fast periodically, and for me that's the best way to handle it. So some people they do find the ketogenic diet and they're like good, and but for me it didn't work that well. So I fast 3 days once a month. And yes, you can do a dry fast, and I don't do a strict dry fast. When I'm thirsty, I drink water because I continue exercising. Like I run a 5K, and I'm gonna sweat out a lot of water, and so I need to replace that. So I replace that with electrolytes. A strict dry fast is great if you're not doing anything else. But if you're active and doing things, then drinking water is okay because that goes through your system pretty quickly. And so when you get thirsty, drink. That's the best way to look at it. If you're not thirsty, fine. I'll go for a day or two without any water because I'm just not thirsty. That's okay. So yes, how often? As often as you need to. And so one of the ways that I look at it is weight. Weight is just a simple way to look at it. So when I get up to about 160 pounds, then I go, okay, it's time to do a 3-day fast. And I'll get down to about 155. And I maintain my weight around 157. So that's me personally. And you will have your own, whatever your weight is. You have an ideal optimal weight. And if you start creeping up, then you go, oh, I'm going to have to fast for a little while. Or go back on phase 1 of the program and lose and start burning fat and use up the fat. And it's going to take longer than 3 days. You may do it for several weeks or a couple of months. And then once you get down to your ideal body weight, then you're back to, okay, I can liberalize my diet more, right? And so I got, like, this morning, one of my patients brought in a fresh baked loaf of sourdough bread. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's better than a cinnamon roll to me. Like, I love fresh baked sourdough bread. And she said, yeah, you can take it home to your family. I said, are you kidding? My family's never going to see this. It's not going to make it home.
That's funny.
But that's, to me, that's a big advantage of I can eat anything I want, and I know I'm going to fast for 3 days, and I'm going to get, burn off all the fat and everything. And that works. It works really well because I'm just not good at, like, thinking all day about what I have to eat, And so if I have to think about it, like, so for example, my kids, they go to, what was it, In-N-Out Burger, and they buy 4 hamburgers, and one of them says, well, I don't want one. So they got an extra hamburger, and they hand it to me. Here, you want a hamburger? I ate it. I ate the hamburger. It was great. I hadn't had one of those in I don't know how many years. But the point is, I can do that because I fast periodically, and for me, it's about once a month.
Yeah. Okay. Harvin had said, I had a cortisone shot on my shoulder on Monday, and my sugar's been high since. I think it's affected by it, but good news is I can move my shoulder. Do you find that pretty common?
Yeah. Yeah, cortisone definitely raises blood sugar. It makes you insulin resistant. So if you already are insulin resistant, then it makes it worse. So your blood sugar goes up even more. So after you eat, especially, it'll be like, it'll spike and you go, whoa. If you have a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, you'll see these huge spikes after a cortisone shot. That'll go away. Yeah, just give it time.
I love this question from Brenda. Brenda said, please explain in elementary terms, what is insulin resistance?
Oh, good. Okay, let's make it really simple. Elementary terms, you have a cell. The cell has a whole bunch of insulin receptors on it. And it's saying, I want sugar, I want sugar, I want sugar. That's what your cells are saying, right? Because they have a whole bunch of insulin receptors. So the insulin takes the sugar into the cell and takes the sugar into the cell. So it's pulling sugar into the cell through all these insulin receptors. And then the cell fills up with sugar, and it's like above the eyeballs. It's filled up with sugar. And the nucleus in the cell goes, whoa, we don't need any more. Let's stop making insulin receptors. So now you have the cell. It's full of sugar on the inside, and on the outside, there's no insulin receptors. So all those insulin receptors are gone. And then the insulin's looking around, hey, I got some extra sugar here. Anybody want sugar? Anybody want sugar? And everybody's going, no, 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 no. That's resistance to insulin, because all of the cells are saying, no, I don't want any sugar.
Okay, that's good.
All right, let's go back to fasting, because Randy says when it comes to time, if you're diabetic, be cautious about fasting. Should you be cautious about fasting as a diabetic?
Okay. Let's distinguish between type 1 and type 2. With type 2, you have insulin resistance. You have a lot of excess insulin. And so fasting allows you to become more sensitive to that insulin that you're making. And so when you're fasting, you can start using up all the glycogen in your body. Your insulin levels can go down. You can start burning fat again. So for type 2, absolutely, fasting is clearly, by far, hands down, the best thing you could do. Type 1, however, diabetes is a completely different animal. Type 1 means you don't make enough insulin, and probably none at all. And so if you're not making any insulin and you're fasting, you can't get any energy into your cells at all. So you need insulin injections. And then if you're fasting and you give insulin injections, you don't have any sugar in your blood. You're going to drop your blood sugar too low and your brain's going to starve for blood sugar. You get hypoglycemia. It happened to my father-in-law. He's taking insulin. He went to his granddaughter's wedding reception, my niece's wedding reception, and so we were there. And he took his insulin, but then it took longer than usual for the food to come out, and he started getting hypoglycemia, and he didn't know it, and he's going, "Oh, I feel really tired and weak." So if you're taking insulin, you have to be really careful with fasting. And that's what they're talking about. If you're not taking insulin and you have this high level of insulin in your blood and your blood sugar's going up, then you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Michelle had said, I thought MSG was used in Asian restaurants. If they claim they don't use them, are you saying other non-Asian restaurants use MSG?
Oh, okay. MSG is the most wonderful thing in the world. It's a flavor enhancer. So in World War II, when the United States Air Force primarily took over, and there were some Marines there, of course, and they took over islands in the Pacific. They found a bunch of Japanese food, and they started eating the Japanese food, and they're like, why does Japan's food taste so much better than our food? The United States meals are terrible compared to the Japanese meals. They're really tasty. Oh, so it turns out that they did some tests on it in the United States and said, oh, it's MSG. So yeah, the Chinese restaurant syndrome was the people who are sensitive to this. Glutamate glutamate is a neurotransmitter that causes overstimulation of the brain. And so some people get overstimulated and they get the Chinese restaurant syndrome. And so that's typically from Asian food, right? So in the United States, they started saying, well, we have to include MSG in our food too. And then people started going, whoa, MSG is bad for people. You better not put it in. So they said, okay, we have to have MSG because nobody will come back to our restaurant if we don't. So we have to hide it somehow. So you should look up sometime the list of all the names of MSG. There's like this long list of things that are MSG that you don't know are MSG. So if it says hydrolyzed yeast extract, hydrolyzed whey protein, hydrolyzed protein of any kind is always MSG. But there's natural flavors is also MSG. So yeah, MSG is like everywhere if it's processed food and you don't know it. So like all the chips, you can't get like Doritos or anything with flavor. And it says no MSG and they use hydrolyzed yeast extract, right? And so they're putting MSG in it and saying no MSG. So that's why.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list and it's ingredient sources that contain natural MSG: hydrolyzed vegetable protein, hydrolyzed soy or wheat protein, yeast extract, textured protein, soy protein isolate, soy protein concentrate, calcium caseinate, and sodium caseinate. And then it could also be in malt flavoring, malt extract, bouillons as well.
Yeah. It's quite a list.
Wow, very interesting. Brenda had said, is insulin resistance the same as insulin sensitivity?
Okay, it's the opposite. So insulin resistance means your cells don't have any receptors on them. So the insulin comes and says, doesn't anybody want sugar? And they're going, no, 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 I don't want any sugar. Insulin sensitivity is when your cell is empty, has no sugar in it. And so the nucleus makes a whole bunch of receptors. So there's thousands of insulin receptors on that cell. And that's really insulin sensitive.
Geraldine says, I've been using Cinechroma for a few years now, but my sugar is not controlled. My sugar ranges from 230 to 250, and it spikes to 260 to 300 plus after eating breakfast and lunch. My vitamin D also high at 104.
Okay,
I still
vitamin
take
D.
metformin 200, 1,000 milligrams twice a day.
Okay, so what that's telling you is that that is not dealing with the issue. That you have a biochemical issue, an energy production problem that Synachroma is not dealing with. So that's not your problem. Vitamin D 104, that's fine. In fact, that's great. That'll keep your immune system functioning better. That's not a problem at all. The issue really is, why is the blood sugar going up? Why isn't it coming down? So you have a set point. Your blood sugar set point, instead of being between 70 and 90, is somewhere around 150 to 200. And so that's where your pancreas is wanting to keep your blood sugar all the time. And the only way outside of that is to reset. And the reset button is fasting. So start out with just a 12-hour fast. And then go to a 16-hour fast, and then go to a 20-hour fast, and then eat once a day. And you don't have to do this all at once. You can have days in between, but just get your body used to not having anything to eat for a period of time. So if you eat like just breakfast, don't make it dinner. If you're going to fast once a day, make it breakfast, and then don't eat the rest of the day, and then eat breakfast again and don't eat the rest of the day. You can do that as many times as you want, as long as you want one meal a day. Works really well for getting this down. Or you can do like uh, 2 day. You can move on and do 2 days of fasting, where you eat breakfast like on Friday, and then you don't eat breakfast again till Sunday, and you drink water in between. So what that does is the reset button for the blood sugar set point is to set it down, and you want to get it into the 70 to 90 range. So you just keep checking your blood sugar until you're between 70 and 90. Now, you're going to feel like you have hypoglycemia when you drop below 100. You're going to go, man, I feel like fatigued and weak, and I got a headache, and you're going to have symptoms of hypoglycemia. Why? Because your set point is high, and all of your brain is expecting all of this extra glucose, and now your glucose is dropping low, and they're going, hey, wait a minute, we don't have enough now. And so that's the reset button. And it's a process, not an event, but that's the reason why the Synachroma is not reducing it. It's because your set point is too high.
Okay. Geraldine also had asked, why does my husband's sugar not spike after eating donuts, cakes, ice cream, and all carbs and meats?
Wow. What do you mean his doesn't and yours does? Spike, I don't know. Because when people drink like even faster, right, juice, they have a 32 ounce Coke or whatever, and drink it. They release a lot of insulin, and they're insulin sensitive, so the sugar all gets sucked into the cells, and the blood sugar stays the same. And that's kind of what's supposed to happen, and most people do that, at least at first. But after a while, the cells will fill up, and you'll get insulin resistant because your cells will stop making insulin receptors.
All right, Marcia said my fasting blood glucose is 5.1 and my hemoglobin A1C is 5.7. I'm waiting a supply of Synachroma. How do I take it for best results?
Um, Hemoglobin A1C 5.7, that's pre-diabetes. You want your blood glucose between 4 and 5, ideally. So the 5.1 isn't bad. It's just a little on the high side. Again, 5.7 is prediabetes, but that's just a little on the high side. And so the best way to, or the two things that you can do to improve insulin sensitivity is, one is exercising, and the more the better. Like I said, if you were Michael Phelps burning 5,000 calories a day, then you would not be insulin resistant pretty much no matter how much you eat. But if you're only burning, like the average American, less than 1,000 calories a day, then you're going to need to eat a lot less. And especially number two is avoiding sugar, sweets, even fruit, candy, processed foods of any kind, restaurant foods.
Here's a good question from Julie. Can I just stop taking metformin on my own and treat with cinnamon, exercise, fasting, and dieting?
The answer to your question is absolutely. It's your body and you can do it whatever way you want. So the question is it safe? Is it effective? And absolutely. So if you think about what metformin does, it blocks your ability to use glucose in certain ways. And so if you remove that block and allow your body to use the glucose, you're not going to make as much fat. That's what it does. But you can treat it in other ways. So cinnamon is something that actually helps you use blood glucose more efficiently. But if you're exercising and you have a dietary change where you're not eating more calories than you need, then absolutely that will treat it. In fact, that will treat it as better and more long lasting and prevents damage to your body as opposed to taking the medication.
Would there be enough cinnamon in her diet to help her?
Cinnamon, it's hard to get enough cinnamon. I don't know, unless you like cinnamon a lot.
Where could you get extra cinnamon?
Well, you can. Well, cinnachroma, for
There you
example,
go.
we use a cinnamon extract, which is triple concentrated. So you get like 3 servings of cinnamon in one pill. Yeah, so that's one way of doing it.
Well, I love what Kevin posted. I did it. So I'm assuming he was successful in treating his own diabetes with exercise, fasting, and dieting. Kevin, please put more details in the chat. And then Randy says, Yahoo, I went through that, tired, etc. When I dropped my A1C from 14.6 to
Ooh.
5.3.
Wow.
Yes, amazing. My glucometer used to read 495, now is 75 to 100. Synachroma is the greatest thing since the wheel. Thank you, Dr. Scott. Love and appreciate your innovations.
Wow. Okay. See, that tells you though that in your case, the synachroma had whatever was missing. Like if you didn't have enough chromium in your blood or selenium or vanadium or something. So you replace what's missing and things just start working again. And so good work. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Roy said, let's see, I use hydrocortisone for itching dry skin. Does this cause insulin control problems? Hydrocortisone or cortisone shots. Say
Yeah.
the same.
Okay. So the cortisone, the hydrocortisone that you put on your skin, is not going to be very strong, and it should not affect your insulin resistance. Whereas shots, they use usually a really high potency type cortisone, like dexamethasone, which is 10 times more. Um, uh, it's 10 times more potent than hydrocortisone. So the hydrocortisone you put on your skin that you buy over the counter for rashes and stuff should not affect your blood sugar.
Diane said, my body is currently under extreme stress, extreme muscle fatigue. This will keep sugar up regardless of what I eat or what supplements.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's controlling your blood sugar. I often tell the story of Julie that only had diabetes when she was under stress, and then when she wasn't under stress, she didn't have diabetes at all. Her blood sugar was perfectly normal unless she was stressed. So that makes it really hard. So dealing with the stress, if you were to look at all of the things that affect your health, diet and the food you eat and taking supplements and exercise, and sleep and um, all of the things that we talk about, drugs and surgery and all that, that affect your health. And they say, okay, what has the greatest effect on health? All of those add up to maybe 10% or maybe 20% of your health. What's the other 80 to 90%? Stress. Stress is clearly far and away more effective if you're dealing with stress, or more dangerous if you have a lot of stress and not dealing with it. Stress, everything that's bad is caused by stress, and everything that you want to fix has to be when the stress has gone away. Then you get anabolic and you can repair things. So people are getting these shots. I had a woman spent $9,000 a month to get these injections of peptides, peptide injections that are supposed to make her young, right? And they have this tiny effect compared to, she's under so much stress. She's not dealing with the important things, and she's focusing on the unimportant things. Jesus called that straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, we better do another webinar soon, I think, just on stress. That'd be good. Okay. Diane, we might have addressed this already, but are there, as a type 2 diabetic, are there any other concerns with fasting?
As for type 2, well, yeah, the things that we talked about, where is if your set point of your blood sugar is 150 to 200, and you got to drop it all the way down, that takes some time, and you're going to get hypoglycemic, and you're going to get I don't know, dizziness and nausea, and I got to go to bed, so tired, and all of that. And so people go, oh no, that's horrible. I have to eat something or else I might get dizzy. And I'm like, no, actually, you want that. You want to push through that so that you can reset it. If you start eating, then you've missed your reset button. The reset button is when you push through the hypoglycemic episodes. So that's the worst thing, is the hypoglycemic episodes. You got to be really careful when you're doing that. If you're feeling dizzy, sit down immediately. And one time I was in the nursing home, and I laid down on the floor in the hallway. And they're like, everybody's looking at, are you okay? And I'm like, just leave me alone. I'll be fine in a minute. Because it takes a minute, sometimes a couple of minutes for it to come back. And then I go, okay, I'm fine. Now I get up and move on. So I don't do that anymore. It doesn't happen anymore because my set point is down into the normal range now.
Okay. Allison said, if I don't eat, my blood pressure goes down. I usually have low blood pressure anyway. How can I avoid that and be able to fast?
Ah, try drinking an electrolyte solution, like put a pinch of salt in your water. Because adding the salt to the water allows the sodium to stay up. And most of the food we eat is really high in sodium, and that keeps the blood volume up so that you don't get low blood pressure. So when you're fasting, if you put salt in the water, and it may require more than a pinch, you might put an eighth of a teaspoon in a cup of water or something like that, to maintain your blood volume so you don't get hypotension, low blood pressure.
And not just any salt. You might want to, it's not your table salt. Try to get sea salt or something like Redmond salt. Would you recommend Himalayan salt?
Yeah, Himalayan, real salt, Redmond salt. Yeah, those are good. Yeah, sea salt's good. Yeah, because they have more minerals in them than just the pure sodium chloride. Now, no, kosher salt is actually just sodium chloride. It's pure salt.
Yeah, if you guys love all these questions that are coming in on the chat, if you're able to post those in the Q&A, that would be really helpful. Thank you so much. Uh, Next question here from Michelle. When I took Synachroma, my doctor told me to stop as my chromium was too high. He said not to take any form of chromium. I do eat Ceylon cinnamon daily.
Ah, okay. That's unusual that someone would have high chromium. It's a very common deficiency. So that you must have some other source of chromium, which is fine. You know, if you have a source of chromium, don't take a supplement. So if and it's really rare for doctors to measure your chromium. So if they measured your chromium and said, "Oh, it's high," then yeah, definitely avoid that.
Okay. Donna said, do you know of any side effects or anything that would not be good to take Synachroma to the kidneys? I have CKD.
Yeah, see, CKD is chronic kidney disease and is very common with diabetes. The Synachroma, there isn't anything in the Synachroma that you could not or should not take with just because of chronic kidney disease. So the CKD is not going to affect that. And it may even help it if you're deficient in any one of those nutrients. Selenium especially is good for the kidneys because it helps make something called glutathione, which protects the kidneys from oxidative damage.
Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Geraldine had said, thank you, Dr. Saunders, for the answers on what to do. When can I stop the fasting? Meaning, when do I know that my body has reset?
Oh, okay. So you're going along and you're measuring your blood sugar, and your blood sugar is in the morning when you first wake up. You test your ketones and you have high ketones, and I'm talking like moderate to high, like that test should be purple. And then you're measuring your blood sugar, and your blood glucose level is between 70 and 90. And then you go, okay, so I have used up all the excess blood, the excess glycogen is called sugar, glucose in the body, and I'm making ketones, which means I'm burning fat, and that's how you know that your fasting is good. That's where it should be. And then you'll start eating again and it'll go up again, and then you'll fast again and it'll go back down, and then over time it's like it goes up when you eat, and then it goes back down a little bit, and then it goes up a little, and it goes back down. And so gradually you're using up the all of the excess glycogen, and you're gradually making yourself more sensitive to insulin.
Let's see. Delmont said in April, my blood sugar was 84 and A1C was 5.8. Last week, my blood sugar was up to 127 and A1C 5.9. What might have caused that blood sugar and A1C to spike?
Okay, so A1C is sort of an average over about 3 months. So that's a big amount of time. So that's not just like a spike in one day. So the daily spike would be your blood sugar, glucose level. That would be an immediate, and that changes minute to minute, literally changes minute to minute. So yes, that's a glucose spike. But there's some correlation there in that you have a glucose spike, which is higher, and your hemoglobin A1C is a little higher, which means your average blood glucose was a little higher. So what causes that is when you have higher blood glucose. Why does that happen? the question, and the answer is you have more stress, you're exercising less, you're eating more sugar, sometimes eating more fat because fat makes you more insulin resistant. So sometimes people on like they'll do phase one of the program, and we don't talk much about fat. We say, yeah, it's okay to have butter, and you can have um, whatever oils and all of that stuff are okay. Um, but some people become very insulin resistant when they have fat in their diet. So for all of those reasons, you could have a higher hemoglobin A1C because of more insulin resistance. And so we have had people have to take the fat out of their diet and in order to get insulin sensitive, which doesn't leave you a lot. You have, if you've ever looked up the vegan ketogenic diet, it's a very interesting diet. And they show that you get all the macronutrients you need and don't have don't have blood sugar spikes because you don't have fat to make you resistant.
Wow. Okay. Sue said, I've heard that eating 2 Brazil nuts for M every day for MDR of selenium. Is this sound medical advice?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Selenium is not needed by plants. So no plants have selenium unless the selenium's in the soil. And if the selenium's in the soil, then the selenium will come up into the plant and the plant will hook it onto methionine and make selenomethionine, which our bodies just love. And so it's in the Brazil nut only because it's in the soils in Brazil where they actually grow the Brazil nuts.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay. Cynthia said, my dad said his Charlie horses completely disappeared with the Nervala.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, sometimes Charlie horses are a nervous system problem, and sometimes they're an electrolyte problem. So some people they take magnesium and their cramps go away, but sometimes it's nervous system and getting good circulation. That's where the Nervala can help. That's awesome.
Elaine had said, does the glucometer work like getting your A1C checked?
Um, the glucometer is the measuring the blood sugar in an immediate sense. So that's like what is it right now? That's the glucometer. The hemoglobin A1C, you get your blood drawn, and it measures the amount of sugar that's attached to hemoglobin in your red blood cells. And red blood cells last for about 3 months in your body. So that's why it's kind of a 3-month average.
Okay.
There was another question in the chat from Parvin, or just a comment really. Another drama of the week. My alternative podiatrist told me to stop Crestor cholesterol medication. My cholesterol was so high, even scared me.
How
Mm.
high was it?
Right. And why would your podiatrist tell you to stop taking cholesterol medication? But is there any reason why you would stop taking cholesterol medication?
Yeah, most people who are told they have low cholesterol or told they have high cholesterol are actually normal and normal average. So the perfect cholesterol is right about 230, and between 210 and 260 is normal average. That's the optimum place to be. So when people are told, oh, your cholesterol level is 250, and it's like, oh my gosh, you got to get this down right away or you're going to die. Actually, if you lower it, you're more likely to die, because somebody who has a cholesterol of 120 has twice the rate of death of somebody who has a cholesterol of 220. So that's something to be very careful about because sometimes people don't know what the science shows, and they're just looking at marketing materials from drug companies.
Yeah. Okay. Good question here from Brenda. In phase one, bacon is in some recipes. Is bacon good fat? Because I would like to have a BLT sandwich, something I've not had in a long time. But remember the bread when you're thinking about your BLT sandwich, because that bread is going to really boost your carbs, unless
I
you have
know
a
you only
lot of,
get one slice of bread.
yes. Unless you do just lettuce,
Your
make it a lettuce
BLT.
wrap. That's
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
BLT lettuce wrap.
Yep.
That
They
sounds
even
good.
sell those at like if you have a Jimmy John's near you or a sandwich place like that, they'll do lettuce wraps. You can get
Yeah,
good sandwiches there. But
yeah. Okay, so the question is bacon good fat? All the processed meats, including bacon and sausage and beef jerky and all that stuff, no, they're not healthy. There is definitely a research to show that processed meats shorten your lifespan. So I don't know. I occasionally have bacon. I don't know. I wouldn't make it a regular thing.
all right. Geraldine says, what are your thoughts about studies on gut bacteria that attack the guts, then the pancreas, and make one insulin resistant?
Yeah. Um, uh, Gut bacteria turns out are really important, but we don't know enough about it to be able to say which ones you have to have and which ones you don't. But there are certain ones, one called lactobacillus and another one called bifidobacterium, that make something called butyrate in your intestines that lower inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. So there's a lot to do with these bacteria and having good bacteria in your intestines. And the way to do that is to get sufficient amounts of fiber in your diet, because fiber grows good bacteria.
Okay, this next question it says, what can I do to lessen or heal from, it says nephrology, nerve damage, but I think we mean
Neuropathy.
neuropathy. Sorry, I couldn't even think of the
Yeah.
word now after I said it.
Yeah. So, Donna, first thing to do is to know why you have nerve damage, and if the reason is due to diabetes, clearly start taking Nervala and get your blood glucose under control. Get it down between 70 and 90. So do phase one of the program, get it between 70 and 90, and then take Nervala. We've had a lot of people on this program go, hey, I've done it and it works.
All right. Angela said, when I test my glucose in different fingers, it's really different. Why? It's 20 points different. What does that mean?
Okay, so the meter itself is 80% accurate. So 20 points is probably about what would be expected on the accuracy of the machine. So you can't look at the number from your finger stick glucose monitor as an absolute number. It's a relative number. So if you're 80 or 90, that's a good sign, because you might be as high as 110, that's okay. But if you're 150, that's clearly high. And, it might actually be as low as 130. And, but still, that gives you an idea that it's high. So uh, that's just the machine. It's okay.
All right. Uh, Martha said, my cardiologist put me on Lipitor supposedly to stop blood clots. Is that true? I never had bad cholesterol.
Yeah, no, that's not true. There is no research to show Lipitor prevents blood clots.
Sad. Okay. Angela had said, I just received Synachroma today and I have a lot of reading to catch up on. Thanks.
Oh, good.
All right. Um, Randy had said, your glucose measurements will rise a couple hours after you eat. I use olive oil to cook with. True or false?
Um, True. Well, blood sugar goes up pretty quickly after you eat, not a couple of hours. It's minutes as a rule. And then olive oil will tend to make you insulin resistant, and it may rise more. So yeah, that's all possible.
Hmm.
Any tips to not get H. pylori?
Yes, as a matter of fact. Okay, so H. pylori is a bacteria that can live in the stomach because it can tolerate a lot of acid. And so, what you want in the stomach to prevent H. pylori is to have um, very high acid when you eat and very low acid when you're not eating. So, you want a wider. Most people are stuffing their faces all day long with little bits of snacks. Eat snack, eat snack, eat snack, eat snack. 5 meals a day with snacks in between, so you never have an empty stomach. What that does is causes low stomach acid when you're eating and high stomach acid when you're not eating because you always have something in your stomach, and that allows H. pylori to grow. So, having an empty stomach between meals. So, have a meal, let your stomach get completely empty, have 4 or 5 hours after the meal, then have another meal, and keep 4 to 5 hours between meals is a good way to start that. And then fasting periodically is a great way to prevent H. pylori too.
All right. I love it. Great webinar. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. And I have some of you asking about a replay for this. Of course, it is recorded on YouTube. Let me grab that. I'm going to just send the link over.
Barton Publishing TV on YouTube, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
actually, here's the direct link so that you'll be able to see this one, but make sure you subscribe.
Dr. Saunders loves engaging with you all. So if he says anything that resounds with you, put it in the chat. Or if you find something, this is for next week now that we're finishing, but if you find something that helps, like other people have said, put it in the chat so it can help somebody else.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Cheryl. You guys
Bye,
have a
everybody.
wonderful day. See you
Bye.
next week. Bye-bye.